And we're live, JJ.
We are live, and it is Friday evening, Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's good and positive for me.
Yes, you were born on a Friday the 13th.
I was in November.
Yeah, not today. You weren't born today.
No, I was not born today. If you're tuning in and you think we look like we're at a weird angle, let me know, because I've been messing with this this angle control, and it just looks wrong no matter what I do.
Well, on this February 13th, my mother came and visited us for a while.
Yes.
And the reason I bring that up is we've told her that we get the occasional visit from a bald eagle. It's very occasional.
Not in the house.
No, it's outside on the lake. And she's always wanted to see it. And today, you're like, oh, we won't see it because the lake's frozen, so it's not very likely. But it's actually opening up enough that it came and visited while she was here. Mm-hmm. She got to see it. We got the binoculars. She was just enthralled.
It was sitting on the ice, which was a little bit unusual. But.
Which was also cool because usually, it's perched up in a tree. It's a little harder to see, but it was just in the middle of the tundra.
It was.
It didn't find any fish.
Not that we saw.
But, yeah, we got to see it. So that was a nice Friday the 13th surprise as well. Yeah.
So the title of today's broadcast is Quitting Carnivore. If you don't need it, why do it? And I think this was kind of came to my mind because Michaela Peterson has famously now begun adding some things in. And I thought it would be good actually to hear directly from her video where she talked about this. So let's check that out. And if you don't hear the audio, let us know, because I don't know if this is going to work.
First time in over 8 years that I've been able to eat anything other than ruminant meat without triggering an autoimmune or psych disorder. Do you guys know what that means? One, it means this girl can't call herself a carnivore anymore. But more importantly, it means that not only does the diet work to put the vast majority of people into remission while they're on it, but it means actual healing is possible. Now this.
So, I mean, she encapsulates, I think, our own experience of having wonderful healing on it. But it's not something you want to do forever if you don't have to.
Well, and I think she used a really important word. There is tremendous healing from it. We both experienced tremendous healing from it. And she also used the word remission. Because it seems like there are some things that it can put into remission. So while you're adhering to the diet, which is an elimination diet, you're doing pretty well. But then, what happens when you come off?
And she had experimented with coming off. Now, if you don't know her story, she had arthritis as a child, and she had bipolar and all kinds of things. Tried lots of medicine. She had surgeries, and she kept eliminating the food she ate until she kind of stumbled into what became the Lion diet.
Yes.
And then anytime she tried to add something in, it didn't really work. And her story continues, and we're going to watch another clip. But for many people, it's not required to go that strict.
Right. I never had to do Lion.
And I always thought that going carnivore was really, for me, about keeping the plants out of my digestive system more than even trying to get into ketosis.
Right.
It was mostly just stop whatever the inflammatory reaction was.
And now, did we talk about what Lion diet is?
We didn't say it specifically. It's just meat.
Yeah, most of you know that, right? It's ruminant meat.
And water.
And some salt sometimes.
Yeah,
if you can, yeah.
And I had painful IBS issues prior, and that all cleared up. My acid reflux also cleared up very quickly when I went carnivore. So it was like a miracle. And I was not anticipating giving it up because I was managing fine, but eventually I did start having some things crop up during carnivore that were concerning, and that's why I started experimenting with adding things back. But despite some early hiccups with that, and some literal hiccups, I have no IBS issues from eating the carbs that I'm eating. Now, I can't say that it would be any food ever I would be immune to it. I don't think that would be rational. So that's, I mean, I feel like carnivore was a bit of a lifesaver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear what else she has to say.
I treated the H. pylori, so I bombarded myself with antibiotics, which I'd been avoiding for years, and
I think we need to pause.
antiparasitics. And that,
Because we jumped ahead a little bit in this story. So after doing the carnivore diet, Michaela Peterson, again, she's tried to introduce other foods in, and she was having issues, and she had some mold exposure issues where she got really sick again, even though she was doing Lion, I believe. And so she was seeking further root causes, and that's what she's talking about right here.
Right, and she gets into SIRS and I don't know what all other things.
bombarded myself with antibiotics, which I'd been avoiding for years, and antiparasitics, and that within weeks completely eliminated my remaining histamine intolerance and any lingering digestive issues. And my digestion, after bombarding myself with the appropriate antibiotics and antiparasitics, my digestion and all my lingering digestive issues fixed themselves.
I am not taking a mass amount of antibiotics.
Well, should you be?
Well, no, but this video that she did, she talked about H. pylori, and she talked about some specific symptoms that then related to me.
Yes, because, So you were, go ahead.
Well, the solar plexus tightness,
Yes.
in particular, and issues, and it was like, wait a minute, maybe that's the issue that's lingering for me as I've moved back into carnivore, into carbs, is that I awoke the H. pylori that were poorly fed on carnivore, and now they got suddenly better fed, and I started having these issues.
Yeah, because while your IBS was resolved, even when you brought back carbs, you did, again, you had that solar plexus.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was muscle tension just from anxiety or what, but it seemed to kind of connect.
Well, and that's the other thing, is you've shared that you've been having anxiety issues more recently as well. And so when she mentioned both the solar plexus stuff and anxiety, those were things that
So I am not doing the 3 or 4 antibiotic nuke thing that she did. I'm doing a different protocol that I don't have any results on, so I can't really say. But once I know whether it worked or not, I'll mention it. What else? This is the last clip from her.
Autoimmunity and genetic psychiatric issues are, at least for me, completely curable. Pretty satisfying after 8 years. Pretty satisfying. So now, more of the fun stuff, eating plants and other foods after 8 years. In the last 2 months, I have tried arugula, avocado, seaweed, broccoli, broccolini, coconut, mango, vinegar, ginger, Swiss chard, bok choy, berries, cucumber, sweet potato, caviar, salmon, and chicken.
That's quite a list. There's a lot in there I wouldn't choose to eat under any circumstances. I don't think that the cruciferous stuff is good for you.
Yeah.
Even today, I wouldn't choose to eat that stuff. But the sweet potato,
Yeah.
and I do eat some chicken. And I've had some berries, but I've backed off the berries. So very interesting. And she's, of course, not saying you shouldn't do carnivore. She's saying it was extremely beneficial to her. But the point of this episode is, if you don't have to, don't do it. If you can eat and enjoy some carbs with no ill effects, it makes a lot of sense. Especially since if you don't eat them, your liver's got to produce them. Now, in the old carnivore frame, we would say, you don't need to eat them, the liver will produce them. And in my new frame, it's, why would I force my liver to use its backup power when I've got the ability to gas it up every day? So that's that story.
Yep.
I guess I can mention that I'm doing the Dr. William Davis I'm a member of his community, and he has a bunch of blog posts and papers going back a long time. And there's a discussion forum, and people who are dealing with H. pylori always want to do something other than antibiotics in his group because he's this SIBO yogurt. It's not a yogurt guy. And so he doesn't want people nuking their good gut bacteria with antibiotics. So I am doing a combination of mastic gum capsules, NAC, and
emulsified
oregano capsules, and then some Pepto-Bismol, which apparently back in the old days was a treatment for H. pylori, but it's gotten stronger because of antibiotic resistance, and so by itself it can't really do it anymore.
So how many days are you into this
I'm like
protocol?
4 or 5 days in.
To a 14-day
Yeah, and
cycle?
I've had no issues with these, no problems taking these things. And we shall see. If it doesn't work, I'll actually go get tested at some point. I didn't even bother doing the tests. Because that's me.
That's how you
I go straight to the solution, and if it doesn't work, then it didn't work. Let's say hello. Melanie is here.
Hey, Melanie.
And Keisha's here.
And hello, Keisha.
And Kathy Collins.
Kathy, welcome.
It's good to see you. Hey. I don't know, how are the Canadians doing in the Olympics? I haven't been following it too closely. I mean, we watch it every night, but I don't keep track of what countries are winning and what countries are losing.
Well, they don't. Maybe they do that at some point at the end of the night. That's when they used to do it, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the night.
We do the daily tally.
We turn it off before the end of the night. We're in bed by
Well, with streaming,
yeah,
we're actually picking replays of things we want to see rather than the live program, which often includes things I don't care that much about. So we've been watching the figure skating, and no one has done a whoop-de-doo yet.
No.
So still waiting for that.
I was going to ask. You read my mind, as you do.
So you have some early data on your blood test that we did yesterday. You don't need to show it yet.
I can't believe it.
But,
yeah, it came that quickly.
But are there any little spoilers you want to give? And give some context for this blood lab.
So last September, I was in Dr. Boz's 21-day metabolic kick, and I went into therapeutic ketosis heavy and hard and loved it. And but when I had my normal labs, because I get labs done twice a year with my integrative doctor, when I had my normal labs done in November, there were some trends that I didn't like. And some of those trends included stress, a thyroid issue, reverse T3 was going very high, which indicates that there is a stressor with the system, and the metabolism is shutting down or slowing down.
Not shutting down.
Not shutting down, but slowing down due to a stressor, a chronic stressor. So there was that. I had my HSCRP is always, it's never horrible, but it's never good either. So that was trending up. And then also my lipids were trending in a direction that I didn't want to see them. Now, if you do come from a keto or carnivore background, you're likely to think, who cares about your cholesterol, and LDL doesn't matter. And I'm not even that concerned about the LDL. But the issue was that my small particles were very profuse. Like all those numbers were going bad. My triglycerides were trending up. My HDL was trending down. So all the things that you want to see that do seem to matter were not heading in the right direction under a really high-fat therapeutic ketosis regime. So you started adding back some carbs first. And then I jumped on as well. I've stuck to pretty much roots and fruits. So some potato and some carrot, and then usually I have some tropical fruits. So I'll have
Orange?
Oh, yeah, I guess an orange. I'll have pineapple. I'll have grapes. And I've had the occasional apple thrown in as well. And what I experienced at first, and I've done it for about 2 months-ish, nearly 6 weeks, something like that, 7 weeks. And so we did another lab draw yesterday, as Eric was mentioning. And now in that time, I've experienced a whole array of things. My skin was awful. It's not awful now, but I don't think it's because I've adapted. It's because I actually started putting some heavy hitters into my regime, my face regime. I've gained about probably 10 pounds. I had to buy new clothes. And my mood and energy has been inconsistent. I'll say that. But I stuck with this experiment because I wanted to know the results. And some of the preliminary results are in, and things seem to be trending better.
Yeah, in many areas.
In many areas.
So while you felt worse, the labs were looking better.
Yes.
And so I can already hear people say, well, then don't do the labs. Just do the diet that made you feel good and trust your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not ready to give up on labs yet, but what the next phase of the experiment is trying to see if I can get a little bit of the best of both worlds. So can I pulse in some ketosis? Can I pulse in carbs? What does it look like to have enough substrate for my brain health, which I consider to be more the keto side, but also be able to have the carbs that seem to calm other things in my system, and make it so that my liver does not transport a bunch of bad VLDL into my system. So it does mean that I'm not adding fat anymore. And I've settled on, for the time being, that I'm having smaller amounts of fruit. I'd still be considered low carb, I think, for sure. So I'm having a little bit of fruit early in the day, a little bit of milk.
Would you say you're having 100 grams of carbs a day?
I think it's less. It's less than 100. Okay. So I am definitely low carb. And what I'm finding right now is I'm having most of my carbs with breakfast, and it's not a lot. And then I'm eating mostly meat the rest of the day. Yeah.
So now you're going to back off. Are you going to do no carbs for a few days and then have carbs? Or are you going to do a week on, a week off?
That's a good question.
What are your thoughts?
So my current experiment, other than the fact that I'm front loading the carbs early in the day, is that I think I'm going to try to pulse 2 days of no carbs, or almost no carbs per week, and not consecutively. I think they're going to be after our restaurant days. So I have I have lunch with my friend on Tuesdays, and I have breakfast with you on Thursdays. So I think I'm going to pulse it Wednesday and Friday, do no carb, and see what happens. See what happens. But I am not looking for deep therapeutic ketosis at this point. What I have noticed in the last couple of weeks, since I have lowered the carbs a little bit more, had them in the morning, is that I am producing ketones in the evening. At night, I'm about a 0.5.
Okay.
By nighttime. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I have noticed that my mood and energy generally has been better. Last Friday it was not.
I don't know if I do.
But generally speaking, I feel like my mood and energy are trending well also. So yeah. And if I end up going back full carnivore, that's in my realm of possibilities right now, because I want to feel optimal. So,
and I want you to feel optimal as well.
Yeah. But I would like to have good labs as well. So we'll see if there's I'm looking for the sweet spot, the Goldilocks moment.
Makes sense.
Where everything's just right. So yeah, but I'm thrilled to have those labs done, because now I feel like I can play again. Like I didn't want to start pulling too many levers too soon, because I wanted my labs to reflect the experiment I've been doing for the last many weeks. So yeah.
Melanie says, I'd be one of the people who would suggest giving up the labs, but I get the experiment, and you're still low carb.
Yeah. And whole food.
I did not give up the labs because I needed to do these. I have been consulting with Dr. Ovadia for a while, and so every once in a while we have to do these labs. I went in yesterday. I was not prepared for the number of vials of blood they were going to take from me. And I won't get my results for a couple of, maybe even 3 weeks, because there's one particular set that has to go to some other lab to be done, and then I don't get the results until they get them all. So it's a long wait, which is fine. But I went in there, and of course we're fasted, and I'm getting hungry, and I want my coffee. And she starts printing out the tickets out of the little printer that she's going to put on the vials. And, like 9 of them come out. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. I thought it'd be, and then all of a sudden the thing fires up again and it's like smoking. There had to be 15. If there had to be at least 15 vials. Now they don't fill them all the way up, and they weren't all this, but I have kind of diva veins.
Yeah, he does.
And they're really problematic pulling these things. And so they have to use the butterfly needle, and it's kind of slow. But they got it done. But I did stop with the CGMs for a while.
Yes.
I had done so many consecutively, and I was really watching those closely and seeing how my new carb meals were working. And I changed some things. I changed some timing. I changed macro mixes per meal, and I was able to get fairly predictable results. And then I was like, I need to stop. I need to just now turn that information off and live my life like a normal human. And I have a trust that I have sort of an instinct for if I'm getting low blood sugar for some reason, which I really shouldn't.
No.
So yeah.
No, I feel like the CGMs really helped us dial a lot in. And yeah, I'm CGM free as well.
But I've got a couple more ready to go when I want to get back into the data.
Yeah.
I am still weighing and measuring all my food except for today.
Oh yeah.
There was some food at a restaurant that I could not weigh and measure. And yesterday morning after the blood labs, we stopped to get a breakfast. So, Keisha's saying, how many carbs introduced keeps the body from having to make its own and give it a break? Can you talk on that? My understanding, it's between 100 and 150 grams of glucose. And it's a little bit, the liver will top up with fructose, so you can have fruit juice to a certain point, and it will preferentially just grab that stuff right as it comes in and use that to build local top-up glycogen stores. But then there's also muscle glycogen that's in the peripheral tissue, and if you've been a long-term carnivore, that's probably somewhat depleted, and that also takes a little bit more time. That's not as quick to build up. But for the liver, yeah, it's about 100, 150. Now the liver doesn't like to get to zero. So what is the magic number that you kind of need to eat to keep it topped up so that it doesn't have to do gluconeogenesis? I think it's pretty individual, but it's going to be somewhere in that 100 gram range, 50 grams to 100, maybe more for an athlete. So my view was, don't make the liver do that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why eating a keto diet kind of is a little bit of a sweet spot, is because you are feeding a little bit in there so the liver doesn't have to do quite as much work, but it doesn't really like to go into ketosis. It's for some people anyway. It doesn't. It sometimes will go, you know what, instead of ketosis, I'll just do really good gluconeogenesis.
Yes.
And that's what happened with me. And I actually think that's an effect of long-term carnivore, is that the liver just kind of realized that it was really good and it didn't need to generate ketones. It could generate from protein. Mm-hmm. It could generate extremely efficiently. But that came with some negatives, because that state is constant low insulin, like chronically low insulin. And that is, for some, I can only speak for myself, a suboptimal way to live.
Well, and there is the question of, are you almost inducing a diabetic state?
Well, yeah, because then we started to see the blood sugar starting to go up, because when you have low insulin, you have high lipolysis of adipose tissue, body fat stores, and that's releasing free fatty acids into the bloodstream. Those are being taken up. The mitochondria are trying to use those, and then the blood sugar that the liver is creating, it can't really be burned efficiently because you have this blockade. You have this Randle cycle blockade, as I understand it. And then that's why carnivores can sometimes see their blood sugar starting to build, and they get what looks like insulin resistance, but it's physiological. So, the issues that were getting me wanting to experiment with getting carbs in have alleviated somewhat. Sometimes it's completely, and sometimes it's 70, 80%. So I like that. I like not having those issues. And yet, it's definitely been a time of anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to figure out whether it's because of the carbs, which I had actually anticipated would lower anxiety, because the having insulin up should be reducing the stress hormones, theoretically. The body should feel like, wow, it's really a time of plenty, because all of this cheap energy is coming in. I should just be able to chill and enjoy the abundance. And for some reason, my body said, no, I think it's a disaster. I think it's an emergency, and I think I need to have adrenaline fits occasionally. So I don't really know what the deal with that is, but it does seem like maybe I'm kind of turning a corner on that.
But then when I saw that Michaela Peterson video, and she was talking not only about the gut, that weird sensation here, and psychiatric issues, I was like, well, if your gut is crawling with H. pylori, isn't that a great image, right? But if you've got this pathogen inside you, does that induce the stress response?
It seems like it would.
So it seems like it might. So that was also sort of my thinking on that, is maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think there's so many people that they end up with there's something weird, it's something chronic, but it isn't really life-threatening, but it's a quality of life reduction. And we're seekers, we're looking for the answer, and we go from mold to mast cell to histamines to oxalates to you name it, because we're trying to puzzle it out. And very often our symptoms stack up in a way that match a whole bunch of different possible causes.
Yeah.
And some of those causes are mental, are manifested from the mind, not because there's a I'm not saying it's made up. I'm just saying that there is in me, for sure, a feedback loop beneath the level of my consciousness. It's not like I can see this happening and go, oh, that's a stupid thought, I shouldn't have that. It happens at a level beneath awareness, and then all of a sudden it kicks up sensation that rises very quickly. And then one moment I'm enjoying my day, and the next I'm like, oh, here we go. And it's an interesting ride. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Mm-hmm. But to that topic,
yeah,
I came across a book about anxiety and panic attacks that has been very beneficial to me, and I thought, well, I'll share it in case it could help others. And it is this. It is Dare. Let me take Keisha's comment down here. By Barry McDonough. Do you want to pronounce it the way that I would if we weren't on the air? McDonough. I hear those squeeze box pipes. What do they call those things? Bagpipes. I hear those when I read his name. The New Way to End Anxiety and Stop Panic Attacks. And I've read many of these, and I have watched all of the videos, but this one for some reason hadn't hit my eyeballs. So I got it on Kindle and I read it quick because it's an easy read. And I thought this guy's framework was pretty interesting. The DARE is an acronym. DARE stands for, I believe, diffuse, accept, run toward, and engage. And it's a sort of an increasing, in a way, an increasing difficulty response to anxiety and panic. But when I finished reading it and I went to bed that night, I felt so relieved that I had at least some new tools to try the next time they were needed. I got a great night's sleep. And then I got occasion the next day to use it. And I would say that if you've ever experienced anxiety that it's kind of weird because you can have anxiety and then there's this panic thing that where it gets out of control, where all of a sudden it's like your body's reacting as if the tiger's there. And for me, there's actually no content to it other than how I'm feeling. It's not like there's an external life event that I'm thinking about that causes it. It just arises of its own. And in the past, often I would feel the beginnings of that and I would go, just ignore it. Just don't ignore it. And you know how well that worked? I don't think it ever once did anything to stop it from progressing. The A is for allow. And so that's the whole thing where you're supposed to not resist the sensations and not resist the feelings.
What was D again?
I think it's diffuse or...
Can you explain that one?
It's different. It's different than ignoring.
Yeah.
It's sort of saying, it's dismissal. It's like you acknowledge it's there and then you say, who cares? So what? So you're doing a very intentional mental move to notice it's there and go, so what?
Now, but you're not going la la la
no.
la la la.
And you're not going, I'm ignoring you.
Yeah.
It's actually saying, I'm seeing you, so what? Now, that doesn't mean that inside you're going, so what? It is a bit performative, but that's part of the whole thing, is that all phases of this are something you have to do on purpose and exert a little bit of will the first times that you have to go through it. But they build and they give you some advantage later, and then the actual anxiety and panics incidences become reduced in scale and number. They become farther apart. So the acceptance thing is something I had been working on very hard. When I would get these sensations, but it would be sitting there and going, I am going to put up no resistance. I'm going to relax into this sensation that feels like I should maybe go to the ER. And that's hard to do. And sometimes I was able to kind of get on top of it and it would diffuse kind of quickly, but most of the time it wouldn't. And the point of this is you've said, so what? But then it insists, and then you're like, okay, fine, you're welcome. I'm not going to put up a fight. And then the R is run toward, and this is a move that I had never made, and this is where, when it starts to get to that threshold, I call it the threshold of doubt. It's uncomfortable, but you understand what it is, and then it hits this point where all of a sudden you're like, is this just an anxiety attack? Is this just a panic attack? And that's the threshold that it will always try to get to, right? Because it wants your attention. And so the move here of run toward is to basically say, I'm glad to see you. I'm excited. And it's a reframe of saying all of this anxiety is actually excitement. Now, obviously, it doesn't feel that way. But it is using that frontal lobe to try to reinterpret. Now, does it work? No. That's not the point. That's not the point. It kind of blew my mind when he was talking about it. He's like, yeah, it's not going to work exactly. And then the E is engage, where you've done all those moves and then you turn your attention to something you need to do in your life, the smallest thing you can do that is not entirely a distraction, but is something that is necessary, whether it's making the bed, emptying the dishwasher, straightening up some clutter, or maybe just sitting down to read something. And let me tell you, when you're at an 8 or 9, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to go fetal position or something. And this requires having a certain level of trust in the tools to do those steps that your body and subconscious mind are doing everything they can to get you to focus on the emergency that they've created. So that's the dare. Now he has a separate section for panic attacks themselves, and the run toward becomes a much more assertive at that point. So he does advise you to give your anxiety or your panic a name and a voice and an image that makes it silly. That's kind of an old NLP, neuro-linguistic programming kind of techniques. So mine I've named Myrtle, and it has a squeaky, very whiny voice. And what Myrtle does is it says, "You're gonna die, this is the worst thing ever, it's a heart attack, it's the biggest heart attack anyone's ever had. It's so bad you might kill someone else." And then I kind of laugh at that. Now it doesn't immediately make things better, but that's sort of the acceptance phase of it. But the run toward in panic is you demand that it double down. And so this is the move where if, say I'm out for a walk and I start to feel this weird buzzy kind of thing and my diaphragm starts to tighten up and I'm like, why is this doing this? I'm not actually worried about anything. And at that point, I might just start getting this tightness, and I know where it's headed, and there's going to be a point where all of a sudden the adrenaline's going to kick in, and then it's going to get 10 times worse. And so the move then is to say, all right, you're doing this, make it tighter. Now, that's not telling me to flex my muscles and tighten it up. I'm demanding of the anxiety itself. I'm like, okay, show me what you got. I want more of this. Do it harder. And this is a scary thing to ask for when you feel like it's an emergency. And let me be very clear, I'm not a medical expert, and I'm not a complete authority on this. I only know my own experience. You need to be able to distinguish between a heart attack and not one, or at least know when this is something else. And I have to trust myself that I'm going to be able to tell the difference if it's something else. But in most of these cases, I'm going, every time I get past the threshold of doubt, it has not been an emergency. It's only seemed like an emergency. And so I can't trust how my body's feeling. It lies to me constantly. And so I did this on a walk, and I was like, you got to do better than this. I want more. You need to do this so hard that I am doubled over on the driveway, or I'm going to keep going. And I kept that up. I was talking out loud, and I'll be darned if it didn't start to come down from an 8 to a 7 to a 6. And I can live with a 6. A 6 is, that's a Sunday for me. And what was interesting about that is the change in the direction of the intensity, instead of it growing, declining, made me believe that the technique worked, which gave me confidence, which then made the technique work better. And then I was able to get to a point where it was like, oh, okay, I think I've passed the peak of it. And then, of course, the next thing is engage. You have to keep doing something that is life-related, that is an activity that is not focusing continuously on the sensations. So that's what I learned from this book. I highly recommend it. I don't know if it'll work for you if someone you know has this issue, but I would say that if you're having active episodes like this, you're looking for some tool, some answer, something to try, and this is a good one.
I like that it's multi-step. So you always seem to have a place to go to.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can see, I'm so glad I don't have this experience. And as you've just heard, Eric is such a great communicator. He's been able to communicate this to me most of our relationship, which is good because then I can kind of
Understand what the
it.
anxiety feels like.
Yeah. And so I also think that, like you said, when a big part of it is retraining the brain to not have that panic that I need to go to the emergency room, I'm dying, whatever, to diffuse the whole cycle. So I can see how I like how he's like, this isn't going to work, by the way. But the frequency, the length, and the intensity will begin to be better as you keep practicing this and grow that confidence and see it slowly diffuse, even if it's not like, oh, I'm better now, yay. But the more you have the practice and the more you see some sort of a result, hopefully, the more your body's retrained that you're not going to listen to that.
So I was using, I needed this sort of an emergency mode because, at least every other day I was having an episode that was seriously uncomfortable. And I would just, sometimes I would just lie on the floor and wait for it to pass. Sometimes I would sit there and try to do the breathing exercise that always makes it worse. I don't know what it is about me, but focusing on my breath intensifies anxiety severely. And I think it's because it focuses me on the sensation that I want to stop. Mm-hmm. So those techniques have never been of any benefit to me. Unless the anxiety is a very low level, then maybe those can kind of kick in. But when it gets to that hot spin up, it's no good. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'm making progress on that. And my hope is that as I get better at the technique and I get more exposure with success, then the body will go, okay, we don't need to actually be wound up, because when we do this, he continues doing what he was doing, so it must not have been the emergency we thought it was.
Yeah. And I didn't know you were doing all this. You just told me about this today. And I don't know how much you've been doing all of it or how long. But that is the thing that I noticed independently, is that, yes, you've been having these episodes and you've been able to also still exist in the world and not withdraw.
Yeah, there's something that happens in you when you have it a lot. You get sort of agoraphobic. You don't want to leave the house because you don't want to leave the safest place you can have a panic attack is at home, where at least you're familiar with things and you won't make a scene. That would be a concern that I would have had. Or having that happen when I'm alone and distant from the house, where there is no aid, would be a concern. So in the past, these things, this drained me so badly that I would inevitably end up in depressive era. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm not that close to going that route right now. I feel like I have a sense of what this is, and I do, there are occasions where, it happens and I'm kind of thrown. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And at that point, you just have to kind of release it and hope that you get guidance. And I think, in a way, the Dare book came across came in front of my eyes, and I was like, I've never heard of that one, and so I'm going to take that as a sign I should read it. Let's see. Keisha says, this may be a crazy question, but what if once a year I eat off carnivore for 2 weeks? Because I've done this. Is that helpful or no?
That's the question.
Go off of it for 2 weeks or go on to carnivore for 2 weeks? I think either is fine. But I would probably tend to do a carnivore as a concentrated protocol for a short duration.
But yeah, eat off once a year. I eat off for 2 weeks. Is that helpful or no?
That's the question.
It really is individual, and I don't know. And that's where I'm going to be searching for that sweet spot as well.
Curtis is here.
Oh, hello, Curtis.
It's good to see you. It's been a while. We took a hiatus for a while. Melanie says, love talking about the book. Someone close to me has lifetime of serious anxiety issues. I've never heard of this book. Fascinating. Yeah. Let them know about it. Maybe it'll be a help. Keisha, I'm in the middle of reading about calming the nervous system and how that activates issues without our consent. It runs the show, so thanks. I'll definitely check this out. This is something that when I was younger, I would have just shaken my head and gone, that's not a real thing.
What is not a real thing?
The whole nervous system having a mind of its own.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's, that tail has wagged this dog for decades now. And so I have no doubt about and I mean, it's really obvious to me that the sympathetic nervous system, when I get into that mode, I'm shaky. I have like buzzing, shaky energy, like in my hands and stuff. And I can just feel it's like hair trigger. And I don't know really why it's happening, other than it happened the day before, and that makes me anxious that it's going to continue.
Yeah.
So that becomes a loop. So that's, I'd really hope that the carbs would help settle it down. But if anything, I think that the early blood sugar swings that I had actually made it worse and amped things up. And if I had managed the carb intake to be a little bit more gently, I probably would have spared myself a lot of this.
Yeah, so that's a good...
Yeah, so if you're going long-term carnivore, I don't recommend going to 250 grams per day of carbs straight away. I think it's a very slow incremental add back to let the body get used to it. I didn't do that. Annette's here. It's good to see you. And Keisha says, yes, the deep breathing I did yesterday tightens my body up more than trying to... That is such a weird phenomenon because everybody's like, deep breaths, deep belly breathing. I'm like, it just tells me my diaphragm is completely locked up. And when I try to fight with it, it's like a war in my abdomen. It's like, no, we don't want you to breathe deeply. We want short, fast breaths because we're scared. I'm like, scared of what?
What about meditation?
I have used that to some effect with some guided meditations that kind of do bring the system down a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
But I had been trying to get back into my exercise program. I had mentioned I was getting back into kettlebells and I was going for these walks, and then all of a sudden the exercise was really triggering the anxiety because my heart rate would get up, and then I'm paying attention to it. So I went down here and I was trying to do a very mild resistance exercise just to get some blood flow, and I finished this very gentle set. And of course, I was watching my heart rate as I do, and I'm sitting down, and I'm like, heart rate's not coming down after that set, and it wasn't that hard. And then I'm just kind of tuned into the system, and my body's like, oh, it's off to the races now, friend. You screwed up, and I just watched the heart rate just go up because I could feel the adrenaline kick come in. So that was the end of that workout. But I had this brilliant recognition that doing a set and then you have a rest recovery and then you do a set, that's not optimal for me because that rest recovery is a time for me just to tune right into all the things I don't like. So I was like, I know what I need to do. Yoga. Because there's no permanent rest. You just flow from one pose to the next. And I don't have to worry about my heart rate because it's always going to be kind of ebbing and flowing, but there won't be any just sitting still waiting for it to come back down. And so I've done a few sessions of that, and that has been definitely a positive move. So I'm going to keep doing that and keep going for my walks as I get out of whatever this phase is that my body's in. So I don't know if that's TMI. I don't really care about that. I'm not worried about sharing my anxiety because it's so debilitating that I think people need to talk about it so we can understand that when people are telling us they're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, we believe them, and we understand that we can't feel what's happening in their body. It may seem irrational to us looking from the outside because it's like, you're not going to keel over, you're fine. But inside, it's 3 alarms going off. And it is really hard to communicate to others why it is so crazily scary. And I want people to get on top of it and figure it out and stop it from happening.
Yeah.
So they can
like
get
I
on with
said,
their lives.
it's really important that you've been able to communicate it to me, because I am totally the type of person that was like, just stop.
Just don't do that.
I mean, come on. Yeah, I could totally go that direction without really understanding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good to know. Good tip on the breathing doesn't necessarily work. Yep. The breathing can really quickly. I think what it is people who are in a panic attack and they're doing fast breathing, they get hyperventilated. And that's why you want them to control it and slow it down. That's why people would breathe into a bag is
Yeah.
get their carbon dioxide back up.
Right.
But I am very controlled when these things start happening because I won't let it get to where I'm going to hyperventilate. But that doesn't actually stop the process, because now I've clamped down a resistance really hard on top of it, and that can perpetuate it. Even though I'm not doing the fast breathing, I'm getting lots of constriction and it's unpleasant. So I don't like it.
Not a fan.
No, I think I should stop, but it's not entirely up to me.
What did I put? Oh, I had a couple
You
notes.
had a note here. too.
Yeah. These are not the topic du jour, but I just brought them up, was bringing them up. So while I was doing my carb experiment, hardcore, I was looking for information about that. I wasn't listening to much on keto or carnivore because I was already missing it and not too sure about this, so I didn't want to keep reinforcing that when I was trying something else. But now the last few weeks I've started to let it back in my sphere again and see all my old friends. And so I saw Dr. Kiltz just had his annual meetup in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
The second one. Holy cow. I mean, you do have to pay to go. And it's a decent, I think the tickets, it's not a cheap ticket, I don't think. But my understanding is, again, the swag he gives you and the food that you have is incredible. So yeah, he was like, people were getting like 2 pounds of ribeye for like literally bringing around trays. Do you want some more? Do you want some more? And I just think that's it got to be incredible. Like that atmosphere, I can't even fathom. So we've not gone to one. Obviously, we didn't last year, and not this year. But yeah, that seems like it's really, really an interesting thing. And he interviewed. I know about it because I've been watching the Two Crazy Ketos, and they went to it this year. They weren't able to last year. They went to it this year, and he actually did a podcast interview with them prior to the meetup. So that was kind of cool. And then the other thing is movies, because I saw that Carrie Mann's Healing Humanity movie, he got the final copy. Yeah, holy cow.
I want to see it.
Oh, that's got to be an amazing, amazing feeling.
And Dave Feldman's, is that coming out?
Yes, yes.
Is that the cholesterol code? Is that?
I think that's what it is called, the cholesterol code. And I know that some of the Midwest meetup people are planning to go see that en masse. It's not on my schedule, but yes, they are going to. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. So yeah, and Carrie said it sounds like his movie will be in select theaters first. I think they're still trying to do the streaming deal, but they're going to do some select theaters. So yeah, that'll be exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. So that's what I know about
What's happening in the low carb land.
Yes, low carb land.
Annette says, oh gosh, that's why I stepped away from keto carnivore online. I was confused, sad, angry all at the same time because it worked until it stopped working.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is why we don't make our diet an ideology or a dogma, because it's always an N of one.
Yeah.
And just because it doesn't work for somebody doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. They might not be following the protocol. I mean, we're trusting that they've actually done it. But I don't really know why anybody would lie and say, I've been doing carnivore so hard. Meanwhile, they're, eating bags of Snickers. Because that's not carnivore.
That is not carnivore. No.
I just want everybody to be healthy and live the next 10 years so they can upload their brains into the computers.
Would you upload your brain to a computer?
I don't know. I think that first, where are you going to find a computer that can handle my brain? Second, if you upload it, the question is, do you feel like all of a sudden you've been teleported into the virtual world and so there was really no gap? Maybe you fell asleep and woke up in there. Or does it just take a copy and now there's like another me that felt like it woke up, but then I'm still stuck in the meat suit? I don't know if I like that idea. To have an evil AI clone of myself out there. I don't know if I'd trust him.
I don't think your mic is on this whole time.
Yeah, they've heard me through there.
Apparently they have.
No, I muted when I drank some water and you were talking about the movies.
Okay.
It's fine. I've talked plenty.
Yeah.
I've got really nothing else today.
I don't either, except for that. Yeah, now I'm starting to play, and I'm excited to actually lower my carbs again, or again look for that rhythm of when I can have, like I said, I can have my meat and eat it too. I can do a little bit of both. I think my key is I'm looking for metabolic flexibility. I don't want to get stuck in either gear. And personally, I know you have a differing opinion on this, but I personally do want to see some ketosis, but maybe not deep. Or maybe it's deep, maybe I do a once a month fast or something. I don't know. We'll see.
I could see at some point doing a month of keto.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss was just talking about that. He used keto to, I think, deal with a Lyme. And it was very effective for him.
Yeah.
A Lyme infection, not a fruit Lyme. And but he was talking about maybe doing a month of keto a year just to kind of get some of the benefits of that.
Yeah.
Seems totally rational to me.
Yep. So I'm excited to start playing.
We've got gorgeous weather here in the Midwest coming up. We got some warm weather, very unseasonably warm. I hope that wherever you are, you're going to get some sunshine. I literally went out in 50-degree weather with no shirt for 10 minutes to get some real sunlight on my body. Then I put this on and put on shorts so that my legs could get, because I didn't want to do it all at once because it was windy.
Yeah.
And I could feel the wind chill. But I did it, and I actually felt much better after I'd been out there in the sun and got those rays on the skin.
Yeah.
We will be back next Friday. Please subscribe. If you're watching this on replay, there's almost no chance you got this far. But if you did, leave a comment. We really appreciate those if they're good, fun, or productive contributions. If you want to criticize us or tell us that we did the wrong thing, or we should, or that we're sugar addicts, which we found out after last week's.
Yes.
I just delete those if I don't like them. For me, it's YOLO. I'm just, if I don't like it, I delete it, and then we have a beautiful comment section. That's how I do it.
That's how I do.
All right. So every day stronger.
Every day more blessed.